Good afternoon, friends from Portugal. We are instructors of the Filipino martial arts, and this afternoon we will discuss with you the history and show some movements about martial arts. I have with me two very respected instructors. They're from different styles.
I'm Puno Mandirigma Alan Fami of Kalahi Filipino Martial Arts.
Mabuhay cheers from the Philippines. Hello to everyone in Portugal. My name is Tuhon Mick Alcaraz, and I am from Pekiti, Tirsia, Kali.
And I forgot to introduce myself, by the way. I'm Frank Olea from Balintawak style. So we have three instructors from different styles, and today we'll discuss about the Filipino martial arts. First, about the history of Filipino martial arts.
Well, Filipino martial arts has evolved by leaps and bounds, just like any other martial arts anywhere in the world. Our practice of FMA is based on weaponry. Then we teach the translation of this weapons movement into empty hands. And it has evolved from way back, and currently it is being practiced as indigenous as it can be. And it is our responsibility as instructors to make it a point that there is a cultural and historical anchor that will remain within our students.
In Filipino martial arts, if you see the Hollywood movies, you will see most people are using the stick. But actually, this is a more recent innovation. For me, I believe that prior to that, we were using bladed weapons such as these. Bladed weapons because it's part of our lifestyle, especially during the olden times when everybody had what we call a bolo, and they would bring their bolos with them and use it to cut wood, and they would also use it in everyday life. And for self-defense situations, of course, it's natural for them to always to use the thing that's always with them, which is the bolo. So that is what I would like to clarify with our friends, because when people talk about Filipino martial arts, many people think that it's just about the stick, when in fact it is not only about the stick. It is about all the weapons you see here. So it's a weapons-based art.
Aside from this weapon, so we can use also short weapons like knife, dulo, we call it the palm stick, and we have also karambit. So yeah, you can see this weapon. So we have different names here in the Philippines. Sometimes in the Visayas we call it garab.
People has the misconception that the practice of weaponry will teach an individual how to become violent, but rather we would say that we teach everyone how to respect, because these are tools which you would regularly see in the countryside, and it has a dual purpose. It is a tool that you can use in your day-to-day activities such as farming and fishing, but these tools can be converted into weapons to protect yourself, to protect the family. But most of all, we would like to advocate that we teach respect for authority. That's why we have our salutation whenever we start the class. And we teach our students how to respect the weapons, because the weapons, if you misuse your weapon, you might end up hurting yourself as well. And we're here to show you one of the highest levels of the practice of the Filipino fighting art, and that is with the use of a live blade. And we're going to show you how the live blade is wielded, and it is an expression of higher consciousness on the weapon because we are using bladed implements. So don't do this at home. You can do it with a stick, you can do it with a blunt training blade, but our Grandmaster Alan Fami will show how to use it and how to wield it using his live blade.
Okay, here we go. So this is a real blade. So I will show you how to cut this leaf of plant. So
Thank you, Jim Allen. And that is Kalahi, fighting art of Filipino martial arts. And Grandmaster Ivan will show how Balintawak Chauvel style would perform the live blade.
Thank you, Tuhonmik. But before that, I'd like to also share that when people use, nowadays, people are asking why do you use live blades when such as this, when in fact it may not be necessary because you have rifles and other modern technology weapons. But as what was narrated to me by my friends who are in the military service, there are times when they call it during the fog of war, when things get lost and ammunition gets depleted, that you have to rely on what you have on your body, which if you have this bolo, it increases the possibility of survival as compared to when you don't have anything and you run out of bullets. So this is a little bit of something of how we use the live blade.
Thank you very much, Jem. And this is another way of expressing it from our style of Kalahi, Pekiti, Tirsia.
So again, these are live bolos, and please don't try this at home.
We're going to show you how to perform all those movements that we've shown a while ago with a training partner. In this particular juncture, we're going to use, for safety reasons, blunt implements. So we're going to show the basic attacks and how the three of us would respond to specific attacks. So Jem Allen will perform and I will feed him with the angles of attack. Jem?
Okay.
Now we're gonna switch our roles. Jem Allen will feed and I will now receive the attack. And we also introduced the concept of multiple attackers. So Jem Ivan now will execute the movements of the blade against multiple attackers. Jem?
Okay. Maliit lang yun.
All right. Thank you very much, Jem. So we're gonna show you and give you some tips on how to efficiently train on the Filipino fighting arts, some techniques and some applications, and on how to hone your individual skills. It starts with the right grip, and as you can see, whenever we wield a longer weapon, we would like to have more surface contact, so we would like to wrap all our fingers to secure our grip with the weapon so we don't get to lose it. Now, if you translate it using the stick, it is basically the same, but when you look at it, the edged part of your knuckle represents the edge of your blade. So whenever you use your blade, the orientation of the strikes and the cuts are virtually the same. Now, when you look at your sticks or your blade, this part of your weapon you basically use when you're within long range. Now, when you start bridging distance, shielding yourself or blocking a strike, you normally use the middle part of your stick. Now, take a look at this. This is called the punyo. Same as with the bladed implement, it has a punyo. We use it for close quarter. Again, this one for long range, this is for medium range, and this one is for close range. So we're here in the segment wherein we are going to showcase the use of double weapons. Double weapons meaning double sticks or double blade. And GM Allen family will show you so you can see and appreciate the symmetry of the movements. And then one of the benefits of these movements is basically to balance the function of your left and right hand, and for you to be able to use them symmetrically against any attack, whether coming from the right side or the left side. So Jim Allen, can you show us some basic movement of sinawali?
The double stick, or we call it sinawali drills, is a very important technique. Okay, because you're gonna learn your right and you're gonna learn your left. It becomes balance your both hands. So now I will show the waving of the double stick. Like for example, I put my stick here, so I can go redonda. You can do sukiti, doblete, abanico. Back again here. Abanico down. Pass up, doblete, doblete in. So those are kinds of movements of the double sticks.
So as you have seen, the angles of his execution corresponds to a specific angle of attack, whether it's coming from above, coming from the midline, or coming from below. And it has a commensurate footwork and body mechanics connected to it, so you don't entangle yourself unnecessarily and don't get to hit yourself unnecessarily as you perform the sinawali movements. And Jim Allen now will show you how to perform sinawali against a static training tool, which is the rubber tire, and is going to do it in actual speed and actual power. Jim?
Okay. Thank you, Tony. So here we go. Some application here.
Thank you, GM Alan. Those are not just random movements. It starts off with basic patterns, and as GM Alan showed you a while ago, basic patterns that represent specific applications, like he said, witik, songkete, and then other forms of strikes. You see him move close to the tire to be able to hit it, but you know his body mechanics and the foot placements enable him to deliver the strikes with power and accuracy. Now what we're going to do is to initiate an attack, and Jim Allen will show you how to react against these angles of attack with your double baston. So Jim Allen. Thank you, Jim Allen. Thank you very much. And now we're going to show you again the concept of multiple attackers with GM Ivan to help me attack GM Allen so he can execute. GM Ivan?
Kabila.
Alright, thank you very much, GM Allen. In this particular segment, we're going to share to you the art of blade use. And there are a variety of ways to grip the knife. And for this particular grip, we call it the hammer grip, or the others would call it the standard grip. When you bring the knife in a reverse position, we call it the ice pick grip or the reverse grip. In the local dialect, in the art that we practice, we refer to this as hawak saksak. Saksak meaning to thrust. Here is hawak pakal, which is to stab from an overhead point of origin in a scraping, penetrating movement. Now, there are several ways to assume a fighting position when you play with the knife. One is to bring the knife in this position with your right foot forward and the knife hand ahead of the other hand. In this way, you can maximize the reach, you can maximize the stabbing position, and you can also use this one to deflect oncoming attacks towards your center line, whether on the low line or the high line. The same thing goes with the hawak pakal. You can also assume a right lead and with your knife hand assuming the same position. So again, this will allow you to reach your enemy farther. Now, if you bring your left foot forward, that means you're bridging the distance, you're coming in closer to your actual target. That's when the intimate stabs and the intimate slashes would come in. And I would like to show you basic angles. This is basically the same angles that we did using the stick and the blade. We call it the slashes or the panastas. And this is the puntadas, which is the thrust. The same thing goes with the reverse grip. These are your slashes, and these are your stabs, and that's your jab. Now we're going to show you some applications in a little bit, and again, this is what we refer to as single knife subsystem of the Filipino martial arts.
If I may add, we are going to do this demonstration just for educational purposes. We are not encouraging people to start getting knives and practicing with them. Okay, so I'm going to attack Tuhon Mick, who by the way goes around the world teaching people how to use knives. Okay, go.
Basically, the idea is to get out of the line of attack. So you cut, then you come in, so you can deliver your follow-ups. So your movements comprise of, again, addressing the immediate threat by getting out of the line of attack. Either you go outside, which is preferably, why? Because you're away from this hand, because that hand can do a lot of things to you, grab you, or disarm you for that matter. Now, you can also come in to the inside. That means you're going to jam the attack with your bisecting arm, deliver a distraction, get out again, control the weapon hand, so you have the freedom to move with your knife to effect your follow-ups. Now, using this grip, you can still do the same. So you can move out, control again the limb that bears the weapon, deliver your counter. If you need to get out, you get out to your zone of safety. Now, if you'd like to counter an attack using the same grip, so as you can see, I did a transition, so I can perform my counters from a safe zone away from that hand again. So that's your basic knife applications. We would like you to practice it with proper supervision and with the correct protective equipment to avoid any unnecessary injuries. Now, the tools that we're using are basically training blades courtesy of Kalahi, of which GM Alan is the owner. These are training knives made of aluminum to resemble the actual appearance of a knife. As you can see, it is glaring. I have with me a straight-edged knife. GM Alan is holding a curved knife for that matter, both of which are universally available. Regardless of what continent you belong to, you have a knife that is curved in nature and straight in nature. Here in Southeast Asia, we have a lot of similarities in terms of the appearance of the knife. But the use basically is the same. It can be for utility use, and when the need arises, it can be used to protect yourself from wild animals or for the protection of yourself and family. Now, GM Alan, who happens to be from Central Philippines, I'm from Manila, he is going to share with you their version of the curved blade, which is known in their province as the garab. So, GM Alan, can you enlighten us with the garab?
Yes. In addition, in my province, we call it sanggot. Sanggot is means this kind of tools. They use it to harvest, to make coconut wine. So on that point, for example, if you bring this kind of weapon, you can use also for self-defense.
But GM Alan, in your province, how do you call it? You call it sanggot,
Sanggot
garab,
or garab. Yes.
or garab. So there you go. In their particular province, they call it sanggot, and garab in other countries they call it lugod. So regardless of the size, the blade is intended for utilitarian use and for self-defense use. So we're gonna show you some basic applications, GM Alan.
Okay, as you can see, we have also we call it hole here on the top, so you can put your thumb here, finger, to secure that they cannot lose your weapon or your sanggut to your hand. So basically, when you are real fight, do not flip this, okay, because they have the chance your opponent to counter you. So on my application, we're gonna show you this kind of movement in reality. So the delivery they coming here to my stomach, so I can go here. So I can trap, I can use this, take away, and to cut his hands and directly to slash his body, and you can use wherever you want any kinds of movement. Or this one is, we call it X or X up. Then he try again to cut this way, push, cut the lower part, body up, and back to lower part. So again here, stop again. I can go here, here. Okay, thank you very much.
So finally, we'll be talking about the use of Filipino martial arts using bare hands, because many people have the opinion that Filipino martial arts is only good if you have weapons. That's why we see some students, when it comes to weapons training, they go to Filipino martial arts, then they go and study another martial arts for grappling, then another martial arts for hands and feet. But we want to inform our audience that Filipino martial arts, at least that's what we believe, is a complete art. It goes from long, short, and empty hands. So I would like to hear the views of my good friends, first with Tuhon Mick, about what he views about empty hands and Filipino martial arts.
Well, the practice of empty hands is one of the highest form of Filipino martial arts practice, because we teach Filipino martial arts with weapons first, then later on progress and be able to translate the use of the movements of the weapons and translate it to empty hands. We advocate the practice of empty hands to most of our students, because we are not allowed to carry weapons freely anywhere we go. But it goes to show that you are never unarmed for as long as you keep the principles of Filipino martial arts in your mind and in your body. The movements are basically the same.
From the weapon going to empty hands, so whatever you wave your stick is the same of your hand movements, even the footwork. For example, if you strike like this, if you have stick, then you strike towards to your front. So without the stick, you can use also your bare hand like this, or the same. Yeah.
So I think what makes Filipino martial arts unique from the other martial arts of other countries is that we start with the weapon first. Now, maybe we have different opinions or narratives of why Filipino martial arts start with the weapon first. For me, I think it comes from a practical point of view that the Filipinos, at least for those who used to practice the real Filipino martial arts during when we had enemies, they would always bring their weapons. Now, in the event that they are disarmed, that's when they have to use their empty hands. But this is how I view it. Perhaps Tuhon Mick has a different idea of why we use weapons first before we go to empty hands.
Well, again, the names and terminologies may vary. Others may call it mano-mano. Others would call it pangamut. Others would call it suntukan. But it is basically dealing with anatomical weapons, which is not illegal to carry because it's already with you, versus carrying a knife or a bladed implement with you when you're out in the streets. So that keeps you legally bound, you know, and you don't get into trouble because you bear a weapon which is illegal in most places all over the world. Now, the practice of empty hands, again, just like what GM Allen said, is the same as the movement of the weapons. We train immensely on repetition in terms of footwork, in terms of evasion tactics, body mechanics, and with the use of the empty hands to address the attack. So it could be a threat of impact weapon, it could be a threat of edge weapon, or the most basic level, it is a threat of empty hands, of which we're going to show you those three categories, and we're going to show you how we would normally address those threats.
So first,
Okay, because we come from the three different styles, we most probably will be reacting in different ways based on common angles of attack. Example, the attacker will attack from this side, he will attack from this side, or he will attack from this side, or he may attack here. So I'll start first with Tuhon Mick, so we will see how he will react when he's attacked. He only has his bare hands, and I have a blunt object, and I swing, and I hit.
I would normally get out of the line of attack and probably remove the weapon when I get the chance, because the weapon is the one that threatens me. Now, if you happen to evade that one and he makes a follow-up, you're basically supposed to create a shield and be able to absorb the force coming from the opposite direction. The closer you are to the base, the better. The farther you are from the base, you are at most threat because you are closer to the weapon. So basically, I can do the same. If I just want to remove the weapon, I can again perform the same movement. Or if he is using an implement that may cause some cuts, just like a sword, I can use my anatomical weapon, my arm for that matter, to loosen his grip and perhaps be able to again perform other disarming methods.
And then I'm going to strike him overhead.
If I happen to be moving inside, I should do so because I want to get close to the base. I don't want to stay here and wait for that to impact me. So I would come in, I could probably work on a jab and hold on to this. I can work on a disarm again. If I have proximity with the face, I would probably do that and again do a hyperextension technique to effect a disarm.
And last angle is a stab or a thrust.
You have the option to move to the outside and again work on the same movement, or move on the inside, simultaneously bisecting the line, not the weapon, but rather the arm, moving in close to create a distraction, and probably work on, again, a disarm for that particular case.
Thank you, Tuhon Mick.
so this my applications. I can grab directly here. I can distract, and then you can use this. As you can see, I can twist to disarm. Now directly I can go lock. I can use this or I can use this. And then if you want to continue to drop on the ground, it depends on you. You can use to kick to the pace. So that's the idea. Okay. So
Okay.
next,
This is the swing to the other side.
I can go here. I start here. I can chop to the eye. You can use also this disarming to take away. So now use the elbow to break the elbow of your opponent, and I can use this also the kick. Then you can use this the locking here. Then you can choke his neck. Okay.
Last thrust.
I can use here, chop here, then disarm. If he wants to counter, I can break it here. I use my hammer. I can break the elbow here, then directly choke again. Then you can take down to the ground.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very
So,
much.
here, this is how I react to it. When he strikes number one, it depends on how close you are. If it's far, you go here, underneath, go underneath, get, grab, hit, there, and then strike. Okay? But if it's very near, because of the angle, if it goes here, here, take out, here, and strike. Other angle, if he strikes here, take out, there, hit here, there. And then overhead is basically the same. So when he strikes here, take out, hit here, get here, bang. Last is a thrust, hit here, take out, hit here again, hit here, and there. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So now you see we have different ways of reacting to an armed attacker. We hope you have learned something from what we just demonstrated.
Thank you very much.
much.